for me once really loud. There we go, perfect. Okay, Ryan, tell us about what you've got going on behind you. What exactly are we looking at?
Let's see. Bottom shelf, mostly rum. Believe it or not, about 30 or so different rums. Middle shelf, more your additives kind of a thing. You don't really make cocktails specifically out of these, by themselves, but quarter ounce, half ounce of that in a cocktail can really change stuff up. Like allspice dram. I mean, I guess some really weird ones up here that most people don't have. Luxardo Maraschino liqueur, Batavia Rock, Baron Jaeger honey liqueur. I mean, just some really weird stuff, but they're essential in getting the right flavor profile for a bunch of really cool cocktails. Top shelf, we got gin, tequilas, which can run from all kinds of different ages on that, añejos, reposados, silvers, vodkas, flavored vodkas, cognacs, brandies, Grand Marnier, Cointreau, Nivon, vanilla liqueur. It's kind of like Grand Marnier, but vanilla flavored instead of orange flavored. Rye whiskeys, Canadian whiskeys, and our scotches up there as well. And then I also have all kinds of different syrups. I make a lot of homemade syrups as well. Homemade grenadine, homemade orgeat, which is an almond syrup. Homemade falernum, which is ginger, lime, cordial kind of a thing. Has almond flavors, vanilla. Make my own vodka infusion sometimes. Like this was an apple pear cinnamon infused vodka. It's great for the fall drinks, if you want to get in the seasonal stuff. This one was really great. It was almost like eating food. Habanero, garlic, bell pepper, and cilantro infused vodka.
Nice.
It sounds weird, but makes a really awesome Bloody Mary.
Okay, so all this, you've obviously got a pretty large selection behind you. So I guess, would you say that's kind of the secret to being a good mixologist, I suppose, is just having that much variety to pull from? I mean,
that's part of it. Being a mixologist is a lot like being a chef. And yeah, I have a lot of great ingredients back here, but what I'm doing is I'm balancing flavors, I'm balancing acidity and sweetness, get a base spirit, put a little additive to it, you got vodka tonics or gin and tonics, but, like cocktails like the bee's knees, they're just gin, little honey syrup, little lemon juice, those little things that, a lot of places don't use honey syrup, it's not a very common cocktail ingredient, but, and also, with that cocktail, a little bit of this creme de violette, which is very floral. That's another cocktail ingredient that most people don't ever have, but violet flowers, that's what it smells like. If you were to smell fresh picked violet flowers and just add a little quarter ounce of that into a drink, it really changes it up. It's like tasting something you've never tasted before.
Okay, awesome. So why don't you talk a little bit about, how exactly do you get to this point where you decide you're passionate enough about, all these different unique flavors and just kind of thinking outside of the box as far as just alcohol goes? What exactly, how did you get here? What's your history with alcohol and just mixing drinks in general?
Well, I've been working in the fine dining industry for over a decade, so I've always been around food and drinks and kind of been on the cutting edge of whatever cocktails are trendy at the time. And now we have a lot of this craft cocktail craze going through the last couple of years. You see Cedar Social here in Dallas, or Bolsa, or even Bailey's Steakhouse did something. They were closing down, but they had a program too. A lot of these restaurants are having these craft cocktail programs now where they're using fresh ingredients, fresh mint, basil, thyme even, lemongrass, doing infused vodkas with fresh ingredients, making their own syrups, grenadine, for example, used to be, it used to be a pomegranate reduction, a pomegranate syrup, but we use now this roses stuff, which I have, but as you can see, it's pretty much full. I don't ever use it, which is just corn syrup and red food dye. Whereas when I make my own grenadine, I use fresh pomegranate juice, make a simple syrup, add a little rose water, pomegranate molasses. It completely changes the drink. You know, like Jack Rose, if you look at these old Prohibition era cocktails where they call for a half ounce of grenadine, you throw this stuff in there, it's going to taste like crap. But you have a good grenadine that you make the way that they used to make them, and it becomes an awesome cocktail. You know, we've lost all these recipes, but there's a lot of great cocktails out there if you know what you're doing, if you get quality ingredients.
Yeah. So you say, like, there's a kind of a lot of this philosophy behind like craft cocktails. It's kind of been lost to time. I mean, I've drank a lot of your original creations, and you know, I'm not as educated as you on the subject, but like, it seems to me that that's a big influence. Like, I mean, do you often find yourself like trying to harken back to these, you know, Prohibition days and trying to, like, you know, create your own original, you know, drinks based on these sorts of things?
For sure. Like, you know, there's classics are classics, but a lot of the better drinks that you have in bars nowadays are just little riffs on the classics, adding one ingredient to just make it different, you know. Like the old-fashioned, really simple cocktail. It's been lost. Now we do this muddled fruit, you know, orange and cherry thing with sugar, and it's nothing like what they used to be. It was just a base spirit started out as whiskey, and then a little bit of bitters, sugar, a little bit of water, and that was it. No fruit and all that other stuff that we do. Oh, and probably some citrus oils, lemon or orange or something like that, and squeezing the rind in the drink. But I lost my train of thought. Oh, but now though, that old fashioned, like I went to the Standard Pour the other day and had a buddy of mine who's a fellow mixologist make a cocktail. It just made me a rum old fashioned. He had this hatch chili pineapple jam that they'd made, and he married that into an old fashioned. And I mean, yeah, it wasn't an old fashioned. I mean, everything else about it was exactly the same. That one little additive really changed the drink up, though, and I mean, it was a great experience.
Okay, cool. So it also sounds like a big component of like making these drinks is just really taking the time to make sure you're using quality ingredients. Like you mentioned, you know, making your own bitters and or grenadine rather, and things like that. So I mean, is that, you know, obviously there are a lot of bottles behind you that I'm sure you bought at the store, but you know, just as big a part of it seems to be, you know, putting that time into doing, you know, the few things that you can control, doing them right. I mean, is that something you really enjoy about it? Because it seems like it'd be just another way to kind of add your spin to what you're doing.
Well, yeah, it's just like, I mean, like I said, like it's compared to being a chef. You know, you enjoy when you make something and other people enjoy it and they say, oh, this is the best thing I've ever tasted, and they have this great experience, that does something for you. I don't know what the exact feeling is, but it's a good feeling, you know, when people are enjoying your food or enjoying your cocktails. So I think it's probably the same as the chef whenever he cooks food, you know, and people enjoying it that way. Can I get off subject on that? I feel like I'm going off subject all the time whenever you ask me the questions.
And you know what? We're actually done, so you can breathe now.
All right.
You did good, buddy. You did good.
So weird.